Lawrence Taylor of the New York Giants was probably the most intimidating, the most fearsome defensive player in the history of the NFL. But after he left football, cocaine simply took over his life. In his new autobiography, LT Over the Edge, and in public for the first time on television, he tells all about his life as a strung-out junkie spending thousands of dollars a day, every day, on crack and women. It was a far cry from his playing days when he'd seemed so indestructible. He said he first tried cocaine at a party during his rookie year in 1981, and by his third season, he had moved up to crack. You write, I'd go through an ounce a day. There were times I'd be standing in the huddle, and instead of thinking what defense we were playing, I'd be thinking about smoking crack after the game.
Well, you gotta understand, though, it didn't affect my play.
To beat NFL drug tests, Taylor told us his teammates would give him their urine. But he finally failed a test when the urine he'd been given turned out to be dirty. Then he failed a second drug test and was suspended for 4 games in 1988. A third strike would have ended his career. So he gave up the drug for 5 years. But as he approached retirement, he'd looked forward, he said, to going back to cocaine. I saw coke as the only bright spot in my future, you're right.
Yeah.
Lawrence, you're a legend.
I know.
You got a ton of money. Coke is the only bright spot in your future?
Because that's how powerful the drug is.
And Taylor was so powerless to resist it that the day after his final game in 1994, he was back smoking crack. Later that year, he smoked it the day the Giants retired his number. For 2 years, he says, he chased cocaine the way he'd chased quarterbacks. And finally, in 1996, his wife divorced him, and he was arrested for buying crack in South Carolina. And after your arrest, a friend said, and I quote this, "You were lying on the couch in a fetal position, hugging a pillow and crying."
Well, I don't know about the crying part, but I might have been.
The publicity and your kids. How many kids you got?
Now, that was the worst thing.
How many kids?
I have 4. That's the worst. That's the worst thing about this whole situation. It's what you put your kids through.
To regain his kids' respect, Taylor stayed off drugs for more than a year. But all he did, he says, was play golf and watch TV.
And I'm just sitting there in my house by myself, and they got old, and they got old. I went to a party, things happened. I went on the bench for over a year, every day for over a year.
From the fall of 97 through almost all of 98, LT lived a life of drugs, depravity, and degradation. Drug addicts lying in the corner, curled up in a ball, the rugs burned.
I got them really bad. I mean, my place was almost like a crack house. Not where you sold it, but I used to have a lot of stuff in my house.
Once again, it wouldn't end till he was arrested. And in the fall of 98, he was arrested twice, charged with buying crack in Florida and possessing drugs in New Jersey. This time he had 2 choices, either take rehab seriously or face years in prison.
Yes, true. You're going to have to do something now because you could actually go do some time, you know. And they made it clear that they was going to lock me up. I finally got it. I actually wanted to work the program, make it work.
And he did. He spent 2 months in rehab, and when he got out in 1999, clean and vowing to stay that way, he finally was voted into the Football Hall of Fame. And this big, tough, intimidating ball player turned soft when I read to him what his 17-year-old son, TJ, had said about him at his Hall of Fame induction. I loved my father. I'd do anything for him just as well as he would anything for me or my sisters Whitney, Tanisha, Paula. If I pick anybody to be my father, I'd pick Lawrence Taylor every time. Lawrence, sit down just for this last part, please.
Oh, God.
Here's what you said. No matter how many times it knocks you down, no matter how many times you think you can't go forward, no matter how many times things just don't go right, a Hall of Famer never quits. Hall of Famer realizes the crime is not being knocked down. The crime is not getting up again.
Yeah. I don't know, my kids, you know, I thank God for them. I've come a long way, and you know what? It's so easy for them that my friends and my kids just let me go by the wayside, but they was there, stood beside me.